So welcome to the second panel of this room. I'm Lazaros Georgiadis, as you know me from the previous presentation for the newcomers, maybe. But now we have an important panel in front of us to see and to talk about synergies. We have on the left Hildegard Meyer from WWF Central and Eastern Europe. We have Anders Sjölund from IENE, from CEDR, sorry, double role. Yannick Autret from the Ministry of Transition from France. Mr. Eric Dimnet from PIARC. Mr. Thomas Schuch. Sorry. And Mrs. Carme Rosell from Spain. And our panel will be started by Eric Dimnet, making a presentation about the PIARC. Please go.
Hello. Yes, so first we agreed on introducing ourselves. So my name is Eric Dimnet, I'm an engineer and former researcher, now agreed as international expert in the field of energy and climate by the French Ministry of Ecological Transition. I'm currently working at the Commissariat Général pour le Développement Durable, General Commission for Sustainable Development, as a mobility officer. Part of my work involves overseeing Cluster 5 of the Horizon Europe framework program. Remember, my neighbor explained you what it means this morning. So you have the Horizon Europe program, you have 3 pillars, and in the second pillars you have 5 clusters, and cluster 5 is about climate, energy, and mobility. And another aspect of my work is to chair PIARC's Sustainability Technical Committee for the cycle 2023. So I first would like to thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity to present PIARC's sustainability of road mobility and impacts in wildlife habitats and their interconnections. So first of all, PIARC is the new name of the World Road Association. It was founded in 1909 as a non-profit, non-political association. Its goal is to organize exchanges of knowledge, policy and practices, and all matters related to road and road transport. It has 125 member governments, as well as regions, groups, companies, and individuals. Its key missions are first, to be a leading international forum for the analysis and discussion of the whole spectrum of transport issues related to road mobility. Then identify, develop, and disseminate good practices and give better access to international information. Also consider within its activities the needs of low and middle-income countries especially. Design, produce, and promote efficient tools for decision-making on matters related to road and road transport. PIARC mobilizes international road and transport experts through more than 20 groups. These groups are named expert committees and task forces. They are producing widely accessible deliverables such as reports, case studies, literature reviews, seminars, online manual, software and tools, etc. PIARC congresses and events are world-class focus points for disseminating deliverables and further discussion and debate. I will mention them again at the end of my presentation. To guide the work of its technical committee, PIARC establishes a 4-year strategic plan. As society's priorities and the larger context are evolving very quickly, PIARC takes into account new topics in each of its strategic plans. These topics are identified in order to serve the needs of its members and of the road community in general. The Strategic Plan 2020-2023 reflects megatrends, including those that go beyond roads. It also places roads in the context of the global transport system and therefore has to deal with horizontal issues such as sustainability, including climate change, energy transition and resilience, road safety or innovation. Among all the committees, the task of working on environmental sustainability is entrusted to Technical Committee 3.4. The role of the Sustainability Committee is to deal with the three issues of air quality, noise, and road transport impact in wildlife habitats and their interconnections. So in this committee, we have to identify how road transport impact in wildlife habitats and their interconnections, also develop all corridor design and their role in ecological habitat connectivity, identify barrier effects, mitigations for wildlife. In our technical committee, we also have as a correspondent for terminology Giovanni Magaro, who is cooperating with IENE under the coordination of Carme Rosell in updating the Wildlife and Traffic Online Handbook Glossary. A memorandum of understanding between PIARC and IENE is being prepared. During the current cycle, the committee has initiated a collaboration with IENE, which co-organizes several of its events. Let's mention in October the session named Sustainability Challenges for Road Mobility in Eurasia, Barriers and Opportunities at Eurasian Transportation Ecology Forum, managed by Lazaros. In October also, a workshop on sustainable road mobility and biodiversity protection organized by our technical committee in Vienna, especially by Elke Hahn. And we may also mention an international seminar, Environmental Issues and Disaster Management Technology for roads, which will be organized from 8th to 10th of February 23 in Mexico. This one is organized in conjunction with another technical committee, the Technical Committee 1.5 on disaster management. Its name is Environmental Issues and Disaster Management Technologies, for roads. And a session dedicated to wildlife can be organized in this international seminar if we have enough contributions on this topic. On this topic, let me tell you that we will not launch an official call for papers for this seminar because the local organizers, AMIFTAC, the Mexican Road Association, for any reason, I don't know exactly why, doesn't want to launch an official call for papers. So if anybody here is interested in participating to this, you may write directly to myself or to Yannick or to Eric Guinard or to Elke, whatever, but there won't be an official call for papers. At last, but not at least, let's mention the 27th World Road Congress from 2nd to 6th of October 23 in Prague. This World Congress will be a great opportunity to organize a foresight session. Such a session is an opportunity to consolidate the relations between PIARC and other international and regional organizations active in the field of road and road transport and even outside this domain, I would say. Together with IENE, TC 3.4 has submitted a proposition for such a foresight session. The title and the exact approval and the final official approval are under discussion, especially with the technical board of PIARC. And the title will, of course, be around biodiversity mobility. If accepted, or should I say when accepted, we will then have to fill 3 hours of session. And for this, again, you will probably be solicited for your contributions. As you may have noticed, there has been a significant collaboration between PIARC and IENE during the 2020-2023 cycle under the impetus of the Sustainability Committee 3.4. This effort has been made possible by the existence of the BISON project, which paved the way for such convergences at the European level. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Eric. I think we are really glad that actually today we are announcing somehow in an official way the cooperation between IENE and PIARC, and it's really a happy moment because always we are talking about how to connect ecology and transportation. And when we have the global world, let's say, association from the roads, I think this is really nice starting point of cooperation. But also we have to talk about other kind of synergies between wildlife and mobility. And please, each of you, introduce yourself and talk about your, let's say, option or aspect about synergies. Hildegard, can we start for you about Carpathia?
Oh,
Mrs.
wow.
Green.
It's functioning already. Thank you very much for the word. My name is Hildegard Meyer. I work for WWF Central and Eastern Europe. I am working with this organization since almost 20 years, and we have started to work on transportation and ecology and wildlife, actually connectivity, around 10 years ago when we were project partners in the BioRegio project. And then we were under the lead of our organization. We conducted 3 projects, whereas the third one is coming to its end by December this year. And what we have recognized during work together with many people is that allies are really important for achieving results. So I mean, I don't know if you know the case here in Romania, Deva, Lugoj-Deva highway, motorway. There was a network of NGOs that prepared many papers around wildlife, ecology, and so on. And then the expert network, IENE, was invited to give its statements. And according to these complaints, the plans were changed. I do not know if all the changes have been implemented so far, but this shows that networking and everybody in his or her expertise can contribute to good solutions. And we also found out that WWF is a nature conservation organization, of course, but we said, okay, if we always oppose everything and do not try to understand the other side, we will not get to anywhere. So we started to work together with the other sectors to find good solutions. And it's also the role, I think, of an NGO that can connect, because we are more free in choosing who to talk to and get access to, I don't know, ministries or in between ministries. We found out that our role was really to combine and to bring these ministries, for example, together. Or we were also helping for the action plan, for the development of the action plan under the Carpathian Convention, where for the first time the Biodiversity Working Group was working together with the Transport Working Group. And I think it was an eye-opener for both of these. So an NGO can help support bridging these different sectors. And yeah, this is maybe all. And now, yeah, we were also connecting to policy players, and these policy players endorsed the declaration on achieving functional biodiversity. And we hope that this declaration will raise even more the awareness of the importance of ecological connectivity, also in relation to economic processes. So maybe this is all what I can say.
Thank you, Hildegard. Just a comment for those that are joining us online. They can make your comments to the chat. Elke Hahn is ready to receive the comments and to discuss in the end. Mr. Sjölund, can you talk about synergies of CEDR and IENE, please?
What do you want me to talk about now? No, I'm just joking. CEDR.
About horse riding.
CEDR. CEDR is something in French. Maybe you could help me.
Conférence européenne des directeurs des routes.
Anyway, it's an association between the road directors in Europe, meaning the road authorities or road administrations. And the meaning with the organization is to help the national road authorities to improve the road network in all aspects, I would say. And one tool for this is that the CEDR helped the national road authorities to set up calls for research. And it's up to any one of these road authorities to suggest a subject. So it could be anything, asphalt, whatever. And it can be a call for research if enough of the road authorities think this as an interesting subject. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5 of them is interested, it can be a research call. And as far as I know, 2 research calls has been within the area of road ecology. The first one was set up 2013 and what was about wildlife and traffic. And it was 3 projects that was accepted. One, Harmony, which was dealing with the cost-effective maintenance for strengthening biodiversity. Safe Road, very much about the road mortality and barrier effects and such things. And there was also a project about bats. These calls end up in an end of program report where most of the result is compiled. The most interesting result is compiled. And one of the project, Harmony, was dealing with maintenance, as I said. And this morning, if you remember, I said that there was a new chapter added in the Wildlife and Traffic Handbook, IENE's handbook. And the result from Harmony was one of these projects that was included in the handbook, actually. And I would say that we have a growing cooperation between IENE and CEDR, and I think it will improve in the future. The second call is ongoing now. It's about invasive species and also how to design and maintain road verges to support biodiversity. The call is called Biodiversity, and it was set up 2016. And the end of program report will be discussed. It's a draft report already published through IENE network and somewhere else. I hope you have read it. Anyway, it will be discussed, is it on Thursday in a workshop and also on Friday. So please come there and contribute. You better information, you better it can be in the end, the report. So come there and help us improve the end of program report. Yeah, that's about that.
Thank you, Anders. Yannick, who are you?
Thank you. So I introduced myself this morning, so I will not repeat it, but I'm working also closely with Eric. And we are working in the Ministry of Ecological Transition, and our place is a bit particular because we are under the umbrella of the Prime Minister, and we are also engaged to work with private and public authorities. We are also involved into international negotiations, and through our experience we have also the opportunity to create bridges between collectivity or partners that are not used also to work together. And thanks to this experience, when we drafted also the BISON project, we had also many contacts with international organizations to know what they could look also for infrastructure and biodiversity. This morning I show you a slide where I put many logos from international organizations, and I want also to insist on the point that is really we are in the nexus of time for coordinating efforts of all those international actors to work together on infrastructure and biodiversity. I will also highlight the role of United Nations Environmental Programme with the Sustainable Infrastructure Partnership, which is gathering also investment bank and also ministries and researchers to create a framework for facilitating the sharing of knowledge. And we will have also a workshop with them later this week. But this United Nations also give us a more global framework, and other actors like G20, G7, OECD are also beginning to work on the same topic. And it's really unique because before, when they were talking about infrastructure and environment, they had in mind infrastructure and climate change. And biodiversity maybe came at the end of the list of their priority. And for the first time, every international organization is beginning really to start to think to such actions. And the role of PIARC, the role of UIC, International Union of Railways, but other international association, it's also very fundamental. And all together, we are trying also to work to optimize our knowledge, because not so many actors are able also to have a broad vision of infrastructure and biodiversity. And the role of IENE with the BISON project today, we talk about the handbook and we talk about the glossary, but the glossary that will be used by PIARC will also be used by other actors to facilitate sharing of knowledge. And I will talk about the ISO, the standard organization, that will use this this document also for the ISO TC 321 that will work on standardization on biodiversity and green engineering, which is really a strong signal for having companies more involved into the field of action. And the role of ministries, and more than 16 ministries are involved into the BISON project, and we have also partners, ministries that are also supporting us more, and so we have many international stakeholders that are in. It's really fundamental for moving beyond borders and to be able to achieve common challenges. So it's really important, and the signal given by PIARC and IENE is really important. So thank you.
Thank you, Yannick. And now we are not only roads, we have also railways to move. So Thomas, please.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Thomas Schuh. I'm working for the Austrian Federal Railways, for the infrastructure subgroup, to be precise. And Elke just asked me this morning if I could join this session to say a few words about the International Organization of the Railways. So I'm not representing this organization, but our railway, of course, is a member of UIC. This is the abbreviation of the International Union of Railways, the global organization. It's a French abbreviation, but I can't speak French, so I spare you. It's just the International Union of Railways. It's also quite, it has a long tradition, this organization. It was founded in 1922, so they're actually celebrating the 100th century now. It's based in Paris, where they have the headquarters. And they have more than 200 members worldwide. So all railway companies operating in countries all over the world are part of the UIC. They are mainly acting in 3 different levels. On a strategic level to address the politics and to educate railway as part of the solution for many problems we already heard. And then they have, of course, a technical job to do for all its members, where they have networks and groups where they are working on guidelines and standards for the railway sector. And of course, they have a service part where they are also organizing information transfer, workshops and conferences. And since many years, the UIC also established a sustainability working group, which is divided into seven topics, and I will read them out not to miss any of them. There's a group dealing with noise and vibration, of course, noise and vibration network. Then one network is dealing with energy and CO2. Then there's one network dealing with sustainable land use, and I'm co-chairing this group together with a colleague from Deutsche Bahn. And in this group, we mainly deal with vegetation management on tracks and on the embankments, and with soil remediation, and of course with wildlife railway conflicts, which is actually our the current project. And you will also be able to hear about it in I think on Thursday there will be a presentation about the reverse project from our consultant. And then there is an emissions network, a sustainable mobility network, reuse network, so the circular economy is still there. And then there is an eco-scoring network, which deals with indicators for the railway sector to meet the SDGs. So this is just to give you an overview what are the main working groups. But in the last years, USC also reached out to IENE, of course, and it was present at the COPs, at the climate conferences, to address politicians, and at least as I experience it, the conflicts of wildlife and landscape management is I would say rather new for the railways. Because they are an old-fashioned, they come from an old-fashioned way of building infrastructure, so to say. They have a long history, but now when they build new projects, of course, they have to deal with all these matters as well. So it's quite important that we exchange the knowledge between the road sector and other transport infrastructure who have maybe more experience. And I also see that, of course, we have more or less the same challenges to tackle when we want to construct a railway through protected landscape, for instance. So yeah, that's more or less what I could say about the UIC. There's one thing I should add. Next year, on 27th of February, the UIC is also planning a conference, Sustainable Land Use Days, they want to call it. So it will be a hybrid conference as well. And yeah, if you want to come to Paris or join it online, you're welcome. And I think the agenda is not fixed now, but I'm sure it will be shared with the network of IENE as well.
Thank you, Thomas. And talking about challenges, how much challenging Carme is to make a common glossary with IENE, between IENE and PIARC?
Okay, so I'm Carme Rosell, and I'm a member of the IENE Governance Board and coordinating the IENE Wildlife and Traffic Handbook. But before answering your question, that I for sure will do, I'm in my professional life, I'm a little bit working in the two worlds. So I'm leading a consultant that we work with wildlife conflicts, wildlife management. So we are working on airports, on railways, on waterways, roads. And the first what I would like to share is our experience in the difficulties to understanding each other. We are working day to day with different engineers. Sometimes engineers, experts on roads, and otherwise in railways, and otherwise in planes. And I would like to say the extreme importance if we must work together to begin trying to set up at least knowledge about, for not only, because sometimes we say the engineers must learn about ecology. Yeah, but the ecologists must learn about what are the names of the parts of an aeroplane if you are working with bird strikes.
Or when you are working with wildlife passages, I always remember the first time I tell an engineer, we have to construct an underpass. I would like you to construct a bolt, blah, blah, blah. And he says, stop. Explain what do you want and let me to decide if I am going to use a bolt or because you are not an expert on engineering, yeah? So this is, I say, we are working on the frontier of knowledge, and this is, well, this is a passionate way to work, but it's also very challenging for all of us because we need to know about the science of the other professionals, yeah? So I think this is very important that all of us have this in mind when we are working. First to understand, first to begin working, you need to understand the words that the other is using, yeah? So this brings us to the glossary. Sometimes the glossary is something that, well, it's the word part of the handbook, yeah? But then we put all these words there. We are going to update, for sure. We are going to include new words. But then it was PIARC who identified us and say, let's work together. Send me your glossary. I will review your words about roads because perhaps some of them are not so good, and you can help us to define the words on biodiversity. So we sit with Giovanni Magaro, and this is bringing a very fruitful cooperation. So I think that it's like showing the path for the future activities. Not easy, but absolutely necessary, I mean. Yeah.
Thank you, Carme. And this is why we are talking about challenges. Not easy or difficult, but challenge can be really wide, if it's easy or not. So, and I would like to say that sometimes also in our world, in the ecology world, we are not agreeing from using some terminology. I mean, the biggest debate is if you use the word green bridge or ecoduct. So it's a big discussion about that. So, but in any case, we need to find a common path. And this is why we are here, and for that we are talking about synergies. And just now to represent a little bit the special cooperation that IENE has with Asia, because before 1 year we received a proposal from CATS, from the China Academy from Transport Science, and now we are organizing the first Eurasian Transport Ecology Forum. It will be on October, on 12th and 13th of October. It will be fully online, free of charge. We are inviting you to join us. It's really nice to see what kind of connection we can find in transport ecology between Asia and Europe. Big challenges. Talking again about conventions that we discussed before, we are really feel glad that we have the convention of the migratory species participating in the forum, which brings the discussion in another level, because our main aim is, again, to be as productive we can. We will see. We talk about challenges, and what I would like to end is that we're really glad that IENE is active in all these different levels. All these synergies we believe that it's our part of our, let's say, routine. It's really nice that we are, let's say, active on that, and we would like, again, to invite you to join all these efforts. Elke, do we have any kind of question from Chang? So, which means that the floor is yours. Please, for comments, for questions, for any kind of feedback.
Thank you very much for your approach and your talks. Is there a common agenda for scientific challenges that should be raised or international searched? Anders said, well, you can put some new goals, maybe new projects, and introduce them to IENE. But is there also an agenda so that there's some common ground about the challenges that should be in international cooperation?
Who can give an answer? Maybe from BISON, Yannick?
It's hard to say that there is an agenda because there are steps that will come. I think that the closest one will be the COP15, where there will be also events linked to infrastructure and biodiversity. During the IUCN conference in Marseille last year, there was also workshops and events for gathering people all together with infrastructure and nature cooperation under the umbrella of WWF and IUCN. And this cooperation with investment banks, with NGOs and others will also go deeper into during the COP. And IENE was invited to take part and to contribute also to upcoming events. So first joint event, it will be also the COP and what will be discussed there and negotiated for joint actions. Upcoming steps, so it will be November and December. Upcoming steps, it's also June, by the end of the BISON project. When we addressed the topic to follow the BISON, European Commission say, okay, it's interesting, but we need also to see and to evaluate the BISON project first before giving you the green light to go a step further. And June will be really very important for us. We expect to organize a BISON final event in Strasbourg at the Council of Europe as a very strong signal for showing that this topic is really crossing borders, and the links that we have engaged with the Bern Convention is really something that we want also to highlight, but also to give clues for upcoming actions. Simultaneously, OECD will start in upcoming months a working group dedicated to infrastructure and biodiversity. So, and I think that by 2025, all those actions that have been engaged, Eric told about 2024 for the strategic plan of PIARC, 2023 for the Rivers project, 2023 for the BISON project, G20, it's also an ongoing process because each director of G20, this year it's also Indonesia, year before it was Italy. And so this process is ongoing, but step by step things are growing closer and closer, and we also are paving the way to have a common framework to find places and times to work together. Our goal really is also to optimize the time and effort and budget of everybody to avoid redundancies. And we need also to have a clear and common language altogether to really to invest. And next month, also there will be, under the umbrella of European Commission, a meeting in Cyprus where the sustainable infrastructure will be highlighted as a key topic, and it will be done with the United Nations, and it will be also another step to be engaged and to show at a global scale that Europe is able also to bring strong added value to that. So we are now step by step engaging links all together, but it's really a challenge because when I'm working on this topic since more than 10 years now, but when I started to work on it, it was just when IENE restarted in 2010 at Valence. I was not there, but we were very isolated. And step by step, year after year, we realized that we had also this common patrimonium to develop. And now I think this awareness is growing more and more visible, and international organizations, and it's really a very strong signal, are working on this. And I think by 2025 we may have also joint, I hope so, we may have also joint initiative. But the role of ministries, the role also of government, it's also to work together. And IENE is a good place also to work not only with government but also with private companies.
Okay, I would just like to make a short follow-up on what Yannick just said about the European Commission and the Horizon Europe program. Of course, when the Commission says, first we have to evaluate BISON before talking about next step or the next version of it, this is purely formal. It doesn't mean the Commission doesn't, for the moment, want to grant something for after the end of the actual cycle of BISON. Of course, we talk about it in the programming committee of Cluster 5, also Cluster 6, and what we can say is that people are rather favorable of it, but of course we must follow the process, which is first let BISON come to its end, then do the evaluation, and then propose something. So this is purely formal. Don't take any conclusions out of it.
I don't know if we have other question, other comment. I think we are. Please.
Perhaps the time is out, but just to encourage you all, become a member of IENE, and if you are having a connection with something local project or whatever, inform IENE, use the IENE web page to disseminate what you are doing and all this kind of stuff. A network should grow not only from the top but also from the bottom. So being an IENE member, engage yourself in anything and make use of IENE, because that is a network that you can use. And I lost my. Yeah, it's actually today it's still quite few IENE members that is making all these connections that we have discussed today. So I think there is a potential really to grow a lot if we get more IENE members engaged and in connection and use the network. And it must not be huge EU things. It can be a local project in Norway or whatever. It's like that we are growing and being stronger, I think.
Thank you, Anders. And just to say that, talking about knowledge and evidences on practices, just to highlight the importance of the handbook that we have. Carme coordinated very strong work having the updating of the handbook. And this is something really important. It was a really excellent idea from Anders to make it online and alive. This is something really nice. And talking about synergies, we have to say that it was not only Carme's work. Carme just coordinated the work of all the people, all the colleagues of IENE was participating to develop the handbook. So which means that we are here to work together, and this is a big challenge. We need you active. And for that, closing this panel, we will invite you in the General Assembly of IENE that we have today. So we can continue to talk about IENE, being or not being members of IENE, or being candidate members of IENE. So you are welcome to the General Assembly, and we hope you to enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you very much.